In the last video, I updated you guys on the clutch setup that I had for the car that I'm gonna put in. I explained why I'm dropping the transmission, why I'm changing this out. So if you wanna see the details, make sure you watch my latest video, which I'll have on the top of the screen somewhere, and then come back and then watch this. I'm gonna be doing this completely by myself, I think, for the most part. I do have a lift. I do have a transmission jack and the whole shop, so I should be good. We're gonna try to knock this out in a couple hours if possible. I don't have a lot of time before the 2 track days that are coming up, so I'm gonna knock this out because I have so much other stuff I have to do on the S14. So the current setup I have in the car, comp stage 4 clutch, I forget what material, 6 puck unsprung. The pressure plate for a stage 4 clutch kit is very, very beefy, so the pedal's pretty heavy. This is a spec stage 3 clutch. Pressure plate. Throw bearing. Oh, it did come with the pilot bushing. Awesome. It's weird because when you have pucked, it's more aggressive engagement than a full face, and then when you have unsprung, it's also more aggressive. So it's the same setup, I just added springs. So instead of going full face sprung, I did puck sprung. Pretty cool. I've never run a sprung clutch before. I wonder how that's gonna feel. Now that I have this unboxed and you guys know the setup I'm gonna be doing, let's cue a time lapse and see if we can knock this out in a couple hours. I just want to give a heads up. You guys can see my face. This is not easy to do. I finally popped it out after 4, probably more like 5 hours of just sitting there and trying to get it out because the top of the bell housing kept hitting the chassis. Is it going back in the car today? More than likely no, because I don't even feel like working on it anymore. And this is just part of cars, man. I'm gonna get the transmission all the way out and I'm gonna do some inspections, okay? In the last video, I told you guys that we had that noise. I think it's the throwout bearing, I really do. The clunkiness, I'm gonna expose myself now, but the clunkiness was because almost pretty much all, except one of the drive shaft bolts were loose, like finger loose. So that's where the excessive clunking came from. The weird noise, we're gonna see right now. I haven't checked anything. I just popped it out where I can pull it out, so we're gonna pull it out now. Here's our transmission, it's out. This was the part right here that just kept catching on everything. The other side not as much, but this corner right here just caught on everything. This is the pressure plate. We are reusing the flywheel, but look how beefy this pressure plate actually is. It's really, really beefy. I would start to release the clutch and it was kind of like a like that, and what I think was happening, I think this throwout bearing just went completely bad and started seizing itself to the point where it wasn't spinning, because the throwout bearing should not leave wear marks, metal scraping off wear marks on the pressure plate fins, because it's supposed to spin with it. Oh wow, yeah. So this throwout bearing went bad, and that's what that noise was the whole time. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything else today. I don't know if I'm gonna take off the pressure plate and the clutch and everything today, because I'm like so tired. What I'm gonna do right now, because I just went through a whole episode mess of trying to get this out, I'm gonna clean up the area, clean up the workshop a bit. This could be something we pick up on tomorrow. All right, look at the shop. Look at the shop, man. Look at it. Here's our table. Here are all our bolts. Surprisingly, it's not a lot. You'd think you'd have a table full, but no. Just so I don't forget the orientation. It is dark outside now. When we got here, it was like, what? We got here at like noon. It's dark outside. We've been here for hours. I'm tired. I'm ready to go home, but the trans is out, so that's the hardest part, hopefully, out of the way. And this gasket right here might be bad. It might be done. the pressure plate and clutch I took off, which you guys saw on that little time lapse I added in. It's got a decent amount of life left. Here's the surface on the pressure plate. Just one tiny little hot spot, maybe two. And this is for the shifter housing right here. And then also a rear main for the back of the shifter. During the week, I knocked out a ton of stuff that I had to do on the car. Major thing, I relocated the ECU. So I found my stock ECU bracket over here in the corner now. It's completely out of the way. The problem I had, the connector I had in there, the dash connector that powers the ECU, was installed actually the wrong way. So I had to extend the wires and then reinstall it the correct way. Then I mounted the ECU on the bracket, put it in the corner where it's supposed to go, the OEM location, but the harness, the engine harness was pretty long. Kind of routed it up here, tied it, put it around, ended up getting it out of the way. So now passengers can get into the car and it's so much easier. They could just put their feet up there. I don't have to worry about telling them to be careful or anything. The one concern is here. They put their foot too far back. That pops open our circuit breaker that controls basically the whole car. I don't know what I'm gonna do for this right now, but I'll figure it out. Passengers would get in and grab here and pull, and this whole door card would basically come out because I had nothing securing it. I went down here and just put a bolt in there with some washers. And now you can pretty much, this is ghetto, I know I don't have it. I know, guys. I'll get a nice door card eventually. I just like the whole OEM look, which is why I haven't done it yet. But you can pull this door and close it from here now, which is good for passengers because they don't know to grab from the window and I don't have to worry about telling them. Just makes it an easier experience for them. That's our little catch can reservoir. We're gonna have to run tubing from there. It's gonna go down through this hole right here. That's gonna lead to the diff on the vent tube. Look at that, that's a lot of fluid out of the hole. Oh my God. That was so close to just completely overshooting this. This is the vent hose that vents into the frame of the car, which didn't make any sense. I'll show you. It drips off of the tow hook right here. You can see it's all over where the rear spare tire would go. This frame inside of here is, this frame piece is also wet. It just connects to an inlet that vents out of this frame. It just vents, so if it spits into the frame. I don't get it. I drained the trans, got the hose off. We're gonna get stuff from AutoZone and pick up tomorrow. I got the trans outside and did some power washing on it with degreaser. I didn't get much progress done on it, but it's a tad bit cleaner. Wiped it down where I could just so there's no crazy gunk. I had my throwout bearing and the sleeve. It's a press fit onto the sleeve. I had that in the freezer for about 2 hours. I'm about to bang out the old sleeve from the old throwout bearing, and I'm gonna try to install the new one with the vise we have because it's not the best vise in the world. All right. Clutch fork is on, boot is on for the clutch fork. It's really late right now, but I just finished the res setup for the diff. Nice and tucked away, it doesn't look too bad. I use these sticky things right here and zip ties, which is a very unique way of mounting things. At my last P day, I noticed that when I do hot laps in the S14, it gets super, super hot by my throttle pedal, which is pretty much where the exhaust is. And it gets so hot to the point where I can't even drive anymore, like my foot's burning through my shoe. So I have a little solution for that, right? Boom. Okay, there it is. It is just heat shielding. It's stick on. I know this is a weird angle. I'm gonna try to get you in there, but it's stick-on heat shielding. Back in the shop, it's the next day. I'm going to take off the shifter plate right here, take off the dust cover, replace the output shaft seal, then I can put the transmission back in the car.
Y'all drop that dope ass
shit. All right, I got this entire surface pretty cleaned up. I just want to say I will never be purchasing from Spec again. This is a very, very bad business practice in my opinion. The clutch that Spec sent me is the wrong clutch. It doesn't fit. The pressure plate doesn't line up. It's incorrect. The actual clutch disc diameter is also incorrect. It's too wide of a clutch disc. The box has no markings, no part number. This paper has no part number, no markings, no nothing. The clutch disc, no markings, nothing. The pressure plate, no markings. There's nothing anywhere to identify. Car's back on the ground, different day. Transmission's back in, was a pain. I actually also just installed an AEM boost gauge, which I wired up already to the fusion relay panel. Got hardware. GK Tech sent me an eccentric lockout kit. We're gonna put that in so our alignment can stop changing, because I get it aligned, then I do a track day, then it just loses its alignment. So eccentric lockout will allow me to align the car and keep the alignment. This video was short, quick, pieced together, but the S14 is finally ready. Next time you guys see it, it's gonna be on track. Thank you guys for watching. If you wanna see more, hit subscribe below. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.